Alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Wa'alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Okay, the topic that was given to us is Tawheed al-Uluhiyah, which is basically worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Before we get into the topic, let us introduce ourselves. My name is Faisal. I'm one of the mentors. This is my brother Ali. That's my brother Usman. That's my brother Ahmed. And that's my brother Rabiul. And together we form the Halal Warriors. I'm going to go ahead and make a bold statement out there. Before I get into the presentation, I just want to say, because of the time limit we have, we're just going to touch on the surface. Basically, this topic goes into very detail, but of course, because of the limitation of time, we can't even get into that level of detail, so we'll just scratch the surface today. So I'll go ahead and make this bold statement, and what I like to say is, if you believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that does not necessarily mean you're a Muslim, okay? Just because you have belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that does not make you a Muslim. And can anybody give me proof on why I made that statement? No mentors, guys. Put your hands down. This is for the youth. What I'm saying is, because you believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that does not make you a Muslim. Why did I say that?
Answer.
No. Mentors not allowed. Yes, sir.
The answers are up there, but it's basically because in every religion they believe in God.
Excellent. So every major religion has a concept of believing in a higher creation, right? Someone who created us. Christianity, for example, they believe in Father, right? God the Father. How about even the people of the Quraysh before Islam spread, right? Did they not believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala?
Yes.
They did, didn't they? And however, in the Kaaba, they had over 300 some idols, right? And they said this was the means that they go through to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So if belief itself was enough, then there was no reason for a prophet to come at that time. So let's get that straight, right? So because so now we have a basis. Belief is not enough to make you a Muslim, right? So then belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is actually the first branch of Tawheed, right? That is Tawheed al-Rububiyyah. So, but we're going to focus on Tawheed al-Uluhiyah. So my second bullet point here is La ilaha illallah. That's the essence of worship. So before we get into the details of that, I'd like to ask you guys a question. What is La ilaha illallah? When I say La ilaha illallah, what does that mean to you? There is no God but Allah. I heard that one answer. What else? What else?
Or there's no one worthy of worship.
Excellent. Because if you just say there's no God but Allah, then that's really Tawheed al-Rububiyyah, right? Belief in God. So you have to say there's nothing worthy of worship except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? Notice in there we have negation and affirmation. That's when you have the strongest statement, when you have both of them together. So that's what La ilaha illallah. There's nothing worthy of worship except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that's, and there's proof, like in the Quran, there's several verses. I'm just going to go over a few of them. Also, that's the reason we were created. That's where the scriptures were revealed, and that's why, because the prophets were sent, because of this statement, La ilaha illallah. Okay? Like I said, there's many references in the Quran, Surah Al-Baqarah, O mankind, worship your Lord, who created you and those before you, right? So that's just one of the verses. Again, why were you created? There is not the answer to this question, why were you created? I mean, in the Quran, it's very explicitly stated why you were created, the reason of your existence today, right? And again, in the Quran, it says very clearly, I have only created man and jinn to worship me, right? Again, you can turn that around, and this also has a negation and affirmation to it, again, right? I have not created man or jinn but to worship me. So you could state it that way. So either way, it's the same way. So you got negation and affirmation at the same time. So when you have both of them together, it makes a very strong statement. And this is very explicitly stated in the Quran. Again, another verse we have in the Quran, it says, we have sent a prophet to every nation saying, La ilaha illallah. A prophet was sent to every nation saying, La ilaha illallah. There is no object worthy of worship but Allah. So just a quick question. When it says we have sent a prophet to every nation, how many prophets were sent to, basically, how many prophets were sent down? How many do we know of? 124,000, right? But in the Quran, there's only, 25 or 26 that are named we know by name, right? Another thing, I just wanted to give an example of Prophet Musa alayhi salam. There's a hadith, and this is basically a conversation between Musa alayhi salam and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Musa alayhi salam said, he's talking to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala here, and he's saying, Ya Allah, tell me a sentence that I can remember you by, right? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said to Musa alayhi salam, say, La ilaha illallah. And then Musa alayhi salam said, the entire creation says La ilaha illallah. I wanted something special for myself. Again, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, say La ilaha illallah. And again, Musa alayhi salam said, I wanted something special for myself. So then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, if you put everything that's on the earth and the heavens on one side of the scale, and you put La ilaha illallah on the other side of the scale, La ilaha illallah would be heavier in the scale. That's the power of La ilaha illallah. And us here, alhamdulillah, we're blessed. We're blessed to be in this religion, and we have that La ilaha illallah. That's the power of La ilaha illallah. Speaking of power, I'm assuming pretty much most of you guys have seen Spider-Man, right? What's that popular line in that Spider-Man first movie? With great power comes great responsibility, right? And this great power that we have is La ilaha illallah. So what's the responsibility we have then? If we know the power, I just gave you the example of the hadith of this great power of La ilaha illallah. So what's the responsibility we have? Anybody want to take a guess? Spreading it. It's our responsibility to spread it. From the time we step out of this masjid and go drive to the community center, you're going to pass by so many people. They're lost in this world. They are absolutely lost. It is up to us to guide them. There's not another prophet coming, guys. This is it. Prophet Muhammad ﷺ came 1,400 years ago. There's not another prophet coming. So the responsibility is on our shoulders. So I'm not saying you're going to go change war, no. But each one of you have a circle of friends that you can share this beautiful deen with, right? So that's what we have to do. I mean, I don't want to get into the techniques of dawah. That's a separate topic. But basically, the best dawah is action. Action speaks louder than words. So and then ikhlas is half of our deen. So your sincerity, your actions are going to speak for themselves, and then your friends will come ask you about your deen. Okay. That pretty much wraps it. Last bullet point I had was birth to death. If you think about it, when a baby is born, what is one of the first words he hears? The baby hears is like La ilaha illallah, right? Because the azan is said in his ear, right? And they say Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. So those are the first words the baby hears. And then when a person dies, and his last words he hopes to utter is La ilaha illallah. That basically summarizes your entire lifetime in this earth. It's very short compared to the akhirah. So that's birth to death. It's very short. So that having been said, that was just the introduction. We're going to get into the details of why we worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and then we're also going to talk about how we worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and then inshallah we'll summarize it, and if we have time for questions, we can take questions.
The first question that we're going to answer is, why do we worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? The majority of the people say, we worship Allah because He has created me, has given me blessings. And that worship is like a transaction, where we basically live our life to do good deeds, and we look at it as a transaction between us and God, like a market almost. And we do everything we can so we can get our good deeds, assuming that good deeds will buy us into heaven. That's not the real reason. it's fundamentally incorrect in Islam to think of Islam as a marketplace like this. It's only a minor reason, minor part of Islam. It has the reason we worship Allah has nothing to do with us, nothing to do with us getting into Jannah like that. It's because we are imperfect beings, and we're supposed to recognize the perfection of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We worship Allah because He's the only being worthy of being worshipped. There's an ayah in the Quran. Allah was worthy of worship before us, and He will be worthy of worship after our demise. When we make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it puts man in perspective. A man is helpless and is always in need of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah is worshipped because of who He is and not what He has done for us. Sorry, I'm trying to cut it fast because we only got like 5 minutes. Some examples. The best human being ever created, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, said during tahajjud privately, "O Allah, how exalted are you? I can never do justice in praising you." And this is the greatest being. And he said this while he was in a state of prostration, which is the holiest way to praise Allah. The angels, their sole purpose is to worship Allah. When the trumpet is blown for the soul's return, angels will say, "Exalted are you, O Lord. We have not worshipped you the way you deserve to be worshipped." And these are beings that were created for the sole reason of worshipping Allah and doing as He commands. And they will say, "We have not even been worthy of being your worshipper." I'll pass on the next question.
Alright, the second question is, how do we worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? The Sunnah of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is a blueprint that he left us, and we cannot add or subtract from it. It's kind of like building a house. You can't just add another window to make your boss get impressed by you. So we have to follow it exactly. You can't change it at all.
There was a guy that came to Angel Jibreel alayhi salam and basically asked, "How do you worship Allah?" And he replied back with, there are 3 essence of worship: belief, statement, and actions. What is Iman? Basically, it's believe in Shahada, believe in His prophets, believe in His books, angels, Day of Judgment, and divine destiny. What is Islam? Islam is say the Shahada, Salah, Zakat, Saum, and Hajj. What is Ihsan? Ihsan is to worship Allah as you see Him. There will be a lot of times where your friends or someone will be like, no one's watching you, or you can do it, but you got to remember there's always, Allah's going to be watching you. Perfection in worship and perfection in your character. Basically, you just got to follow the Sunnah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and you'll be successful.
To summarize our presentation is that as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is only worthy of being worshipped, and the only way we can worship Him is through Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and through His Quran. By following all these ways, you could be successful, and He'll inshallah grant you Jannah. And in the Spider-Man quote that we recently said is that the responsibility part is like following His orders through the things He gave us.